Every once in a while, something happens that just completely takes over the conversation. And not too long ago, a single video clip from a car launch did exactly that. I mean, it didn't just go viral, it sent a massive shockwave through the entire auto industry. It kicked off this huge debate about safety, marketing, and maybe even the laws of physics.
Yeah, we're talking about a car crash. But this wasn't just any crash. It was carefully staged, totally designed for maximum visual impact. It was dramatic, it was, shocking, and it got literally everyone talking. I mean, everyone, from the big shot execs at major car companies all the way down to you and me. And that really gets to the heart of it, doesn't it? What really happened here? Was this some kind of genuine safety breakthrough, a bold new step forward? Or was it all just a really dangerous, really clever marketing stunt? Well, that's the big question, so let's dig in and see if we can find some answers. Okay, so let's set the scene. The story really kicks off on July 29th, 2025. It's the launch event for Li Auto's brand new i8 pure electric SUV. And at this event, they dropped a video that, trust me, nobody could look away from. So what they showed was just pure Hollywood-level drama. You've got this 2.6-ton SUV, the i8, and it just slams head-on into an 8-ton truck. And the result? I mean, the truck's cabin is practically torn to shreds. Its wheels are literally lifted off the ground. But the i8's passenger cabin, it looked basically intact. Li Auto made this incredibly bold claim right then and there. Anyone inside would have walked away. I mean, what a stunning thing to show people. But you know that feeling of awe? It didn't last long. Almost as soon as that video hit the web, the applause started to turn into something else: outrage. This demonstration didn't just impress people. It made a whole lot of them really, really skeptical. And some of them, they were just plain angry. The backlash really came from 3 different directions. First up, you had the public. A ton of people online were just like, no way, this violates the laws of physics. They just didn't buy it. Then the experts chimed in. The gearheads and engineers, they called it a self-staged play, saying it had 0 scientific standards. And third, and this is a really important piece of the puzzle, the truck driver community was absolutely furious. They felt the video portrayed them as mobile killers, just feeding into this really unfair social prejudice. And get this, the company that actually made the truck, Dongfeng, they fired back. And their response was, wow. It was sharp, kind of poetic even. They just said, only the living are qualified to have ideals. The message there is crystal clear, right? They're saying a real crash isn't some tidy experiment, and you can't play fast and loose with safety just to sell a car. And then, of course, a major competitor had to get in on the action. The chairman of Great Wall Motor, Wei Jinjun, threw some serious shade. He just said, our cars don't dare to do that. Ouch, that was a total jab, basically saying that no responsible car company would ever pull a stunt like that. So you can see how this whole thing just split everybody right down the middle. On one side, you had the people who were like, yeah, Li Auto, they're pushing the limits, forcing the entire industry to get better and safer. But on the other side, you had the critics saying, hold on, this test is scientifically worthless. It's just going to start a vicious marketing war and completely mislead people with flashy visuals that don't mean anything in the real world. Okay, so with this absolute firestorm raging online and all across the industry, the pressure was really starting to build. Someone needed to put the fire out. The whole situation was just getting way out of control, and it was clear that something had to give. And boy, did it give. And quickly, too. It was just about a week after that launch event on July 29th. By August 6th, you had all 3 of the main players, Li Auto, the truck company Dongfeng, and the testing lab, all come together and issue a joint statement. It was basically a ceasefire. And this joint statement, it was fascinating. First, Li Auto came out and apologized. They admitted they underestimated the risk to their brand and created all this negative feeling for Dongfeng. But then, and this is a huge piece of the puzzle, the testing lab clarified something. That truck? It wasn't just some random truck off the street. It was a standardized mobile barrier vehicle, something specifically designed for crash tests. A
pretty crucial detail that somehow got left out of the initial video, right? And finally, all three of them basically called for a truce, saying the industry needed to stop the trash talk and get back to focusing on the products themselves.
But an apology isn't the end of the story, not by a long shot. To really, truly understand why a company would pull a stunt like this, we've got to look past all the public drama. We need to look at the immense pressure Li Auto was under from a business perspective. And how did the market react to all this drama? Well, this one number pretty much says it all. The day after that big launch event, Li Auto's stock price just tanked. It dropped by almost 13%. So yeah, looks like investors weren't impressed. They were spooked.
And here's a big reason why they were spooked. The company was stuck in the middle of a brutal price war. A major competitor, the Li Dow L90, was hitting the market with a starting price that was nearly 30% cheaper. You can just imagine the pressure. Li Auto was feeling the squeeze big time, and they needed to do something drastic to stand out.
And it wasn't just external market pressure either. The company's own founder, Li Shang, actually came out and admitted they'd made a strategic mistake. He basically said they were trying to run an old playbook that had worked for them before, in a different part of the market, but it just wasn't clicking for these new pure electric cars. So you see, that whole crash test stunt, it was really a symptom of a much deeper anxiety inside the company.
You know, when you take a step back, this whole controversy wasn't really just about Li Auto. What it did was shine a massive spotlight on a fundamental challenge that the entire Chinese auto industry is grappling with right now. And this right here is the core tension, the big question. Is the future of this industry going to be defined by a marketing war? You know, just an endless cycle of flashy claims and spectacular stunts designed to grab your attention? Or is it going to be a technology war, one that's focused on building a real lasting advantage with actual genuine innovation and quality? This whole Li Auto incident basically forced everyone in the industry to look in the mirror and ask themselves that very question.
So when all the smoke cleared, what are the big takeaways here? Well, for one, this whole thing was a massive wake-up call for the industry about ethics and the need to regulate themselves. It also kicked off a really important debate about what innovation actually is. Is it just flashy features, or is it about fundamental safety? You know, this could be a real turning point, a moment where the industry shifts from just trying to grab eyeballs to actually creating deep, lasting value. Because let's be honest, true safety isn't something you can prove in one viral video. It's proven over millions and millions of miles of just normal, boring, everyday driving. Which leaves us with one last, kind of provocative question to think about. This whole firestorm, was it a real wake-up call that will light the way to genuine progress for the car industry? Or was it just a false fire? You know, the quick, bright, empty flash of a marketing gimmick that just burned itself out. I guess that's something the market and ultimately drivers like you and me are going to have to decide.